Okay, now this story here, my friends, is called Whispering from the Black Tower, a tale of Angel Island. Gather round, friends, for a story weaving from the mist of San Francisco Bay, where the waves crash like forgotten promises against the shores of Angel Island. This isn't just any tale, it's one born from the shadows of history, of dreams chased across oceans in the cold grip of iron bars. I spin it for you now, drawing from the echoes of those who lived it, carved it into walls, and survived to whisper it through the ages. The island of angels in chains. Long ago, in the early whispers of the 20th century, Angel Island rose like a guardian from the bay's embrace. Named by Spanish explorers for its heavenly silhouette, it was no paradise for the weary shore who arrived there. By 1910, it had transformed into the U.S. immigration station, a sprawling compound of wooden barracks, hospitals, and wharfs. A land port with ships from distant shores unload the human cargo for the fresh water trade of the Pacific. Not the trade of barrels and buckets, mind you, but the lifeblood of commerce. Immigration seeking the golden promise of America, fresh from the seas, their hopes as pure and vital as the island's own spring. But who owned this gateway? Oh, that's where the shadows deepen. The island, once a military outpost during the Civil War and a quarantine haven for the sick, has fallen under the stewardship of the U.S. government. Yet, in a twist of fate, much of its vast 740 acres were held by the vast estate of the U.S. Army Fort McDowell, a sprawling domain of barracks and batteries that loomed like a federal lord over the bay. This estate wasn't a private manor, but a federal holding, passed from hand to hand from the War Department to the Department of Labor and Commerce, controlling the flow of people like a dam holding back a river. Its ships docked at China Cove, the wharves buzzing with inspectors, doctors, and guards, all under the watchful eye of this governmental estate. It was a place of trade, yes, but one where lives were bartered into entry into the land of the free. So back then, anytime anybody wanted to come into the United States, they get put on an island and they have to go through immigration. The Black Tower, prison of the forgotten. Into the heart of our terror, the Black Tower, that ominous sentinel raising from the compound core. It wasn't black in color, no, not soot-stained spare like some gothic nightmare, but in spirit, it was the darkest soul of Angel Island. Officially part of the enclosed detention center designed by architect Walter J. Matthews with its guard towers piercing the sky, it stood as a prison within a prison. For the immigrants, mostly from China, Japan, and beyond, it was a cage disguised as bureaucratic. Under the shadows of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, they arrived by hundreds of thousands. 175,000 Chinese alone between 1910 and 1940 ferried from steamships after grueling voyages. That's when they was bringing in all the Chinese workers to work the railroads. Again, like today, they was using immigration as cheap labor. Picture it, a young man named Li Wei, let's say, fleeing famine in Guangdong province, his pockets empty, but his heart full of tales of Golden Mountain. He steps off the ferry at China Cove, the air thick with salt and suspicious. The wharf, a vital land port for the freshwater trade that substantiates the island's isolations. Leads not to freedom, but to the irrigation rooms. Stripped, prodded, and questioned for days, weeks, even months, sometimes up to 2 years, he's herded into the men's barrack, a wooden fortress with locked doors and barred windows. The Black Tower, that's the guard post overlooking it all. Its silhouette, a constant reminder, escape is falling. Like Alcatraz nearby with its own infamous cells. The conditions were brutal, a prison-like haze of monotony and despair. Detention slept in tiered bunks, 3 high, crammed like cargo, up to 1,000 souls at a time. Letters were censored, visitors forbidden until clearance. Women and children separated by sex and race, netted in dim light or strode under guard in the yard. Disease looked. The hospital treated hookworm and plague, but hope was the real infection. Oh yeah, the injustice. Under the Exclusion Act, 18% were denied, 5% deported outright. Lee Win, claimed to be a paper son of a merchant, a forged lineage to skirt the bans, faced Greeley. What color was your father's roof? Name the neighbor, one room, and back to the sea he goes. Wow. They really much did the background check to be asking questions like that. America, but in the Black Tower shadows, rebellion steered, not with fists, but with brushes. Chinese intentions, armed only with ink brush ends, created poems into the unfinished pine walls. Over 200 shots survive today. It's like ghosts. America has power, but not justice. In prison, we are victimized if we were guilty. Given no opportunity to explain, it was really brutal. I bowed my head in reflection, but there was nothing I could do. Another from an unknown soul. This place is called an island of immortals, but in fact, the mountain wilderness is a prison. Once you see the open air, why throw yourself in? It's only because of empty pockets I can do nothing else. These were more skibbles. They were cries against the barbarians who opposed them, pleas for union from a weak country. Discovered in 1970 by a park ranger, they turned the ruins into a natural historic landmark, a testament to resilience. Echoes of the estate and the tower's fall. As World War II raged, the station's roar twisted again. The estate of Fort McDowell swelled, processing troops and darkly detaining Japanese migrants from Hawaii. Nearly 700 souls in the same barrack, now a POW camp. German and Italians passed through briefly, but fate intervened. In 1940, fire gutted the administrative building, forcing relocation to San Francisco main line. The Black Tower fell silent, its guard posts crumbling as our army reclaimed the land, reclaimed the island. By 1963, Angel Island became a state park, the estate script loosening until the hikers and cyclists roam free. It always seems to be that way. They take something from the past that was used to control and try to turn it into a tourist place. And it's just like, well, all that does is just remind you of the insanity of humanity when it comes to policing others. Yet the story lingers. Lee Y, in our terror, he endured the Black Tower graves, his poem a secret vow. Weeks turned to months, his case teetered. Finally, a sympathetic inspector granted entry. He stepped onto American soil. The freshwater traits of his dream, now his reality. Working railroads, laundering clothes, and building a life, but he never forgot the tower's shadow, returning decades later to trace his words on the wall. Today, on September 3rd, 2025, Angel Island stands as a beacon. Hiking trails wind past the restored barracks. The bell of China Cove tolls for the past. Visit and you hear the story time in the wind. Of an island owned by empires, a port of promise and pearl, and a prison called the Black Tower, where voices carved in wood refuse to be silent. It's a reminder that history isn't owned by a stage or tower, it's carried by those who dare to dream across the waves. What tales would you call, I wonder? Let me know what you think of that story. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Thank you.